So I finished JoJo's Bizarre Adventure recently. Well, actually, it was a little bit over 2 months ago. But whatever. It doesn't matter when I finished it. I just wanted to share my thoughts on it with you guys and why I think it's one of the best series out. Because there is nothing like it. It literally is so unique and so creative that it's hard to copy or take away from it. The only thing you may be able to take away from it is the uniqueness in powers. But that would mean creating an entire power system that would make sense for you to do that and get around why you would have that certain power. Like having the ability to use zippers, like there has to be a way to around that as you use your power system, and that's has to be unique, and it's just like I don't see any way around it. So basically he really created a power system that's only unique for himself and no one else can copy it. But you can try to have the uniqueness of the powers just based on creating your own power system, which is a little bit harder. But moving on past that topic, it's also because just how unique stands are in general. Like, the definition of a stand are personifications of life energy whose abilities are given visual form, which manifest their abilities by the individual's innate fighting spirit and embodies to an extent the individual's psyche. The word stand comes from the fact that they usually manifest standing next to the user, according to Joseph Joestar. And we all know his word is absolute because he's Joseph Joestar. Stands are so unique because based on a person's fighting spirit, they all have their own individual power and no one else can have it. Guys, I literally just pulled up the definition of stand, and literally, bro, it's crazy. And Joseph is, of course, always right. You don't ever question his word. He's almost the greatest protagonist ever. Stands are so unique because based on a person's fighting spirit, they all have their own individual power and no one else can have it. So it's only unique to them and no one else can even bear to touch it because it's in their soul. You know, it's theirs fighting spirit, not someone else's, and it only manifests for them and how they are with their personality and everything they do. So if you guys want to help out my stand, you guys can hit the like button, subscribe, and also hit the bell so you guys can help my stand grow stronger. So based off that, it just shows why JoJo's Bizarre Adventure is just so different than some other series and creates a more unique and creative aspect that you just don't want to stop watching, and then you just sit there for hours and it's already nighttime, and next thing you know it's morning. Then you finally decide to get some sleep and realize that your sleep schedule is messed up and you need to fix it. But it happens again because you just want to watch the rest of the show. Yeah, that's crazy. I wonder who that has happened to. Anyway, part 1 was below average for me, and it really just made me not want to watch the show because Jonathan was such a boring character. Even though Dio was interesting, it still wasn't enough for part 1 to be average because Jonathan was just way too generic. And to be honest, the only time I felt interested in his character is when his master died and he got pissed at Dio and kind of destroying him. Like, he low-key fucking folded him, not even a cap. So I'll give him that much. And yes, the boat scene where he saves his wife and holds Dio's head, and it was pretty sad, and it was a great scene. But I just felt more sad for Dio having to die in the hands of someone you hate. But also love and having to feel the pain of losing everything, still ending off dying in the one he despises the most and not living the life he wanted. To be fair, he was a villain, so it didn't really matter. And he didn't, of course, was not going to get his way. To be fair, it was Dio's fault that it ended this way because Jonathan did give him a chance and he decided to throw it all away. So let's move on to part 2. Part 2 was honestly where I started to love JoJo because Joseph Joestar may be in fact my favorite Joestar because I think his character is amazing throughout the entire part and further on. Like, his character development carries off the chart and might be one of the best protagonists to watch in all of anime. Like, his corny jokes, charisma, and attitude are just amazing, and when you add that with Caesar, mwah, chef's kiss. And with him added, it's even better, showing his competitive side and how strong he really is compared to Caesar. And which at the beginning Caesar was actually stronger, but that's only because he couldn't control it very well. But he always had more hum on. As the part goes along, we learn more about the mask and the Pillar Man, with us first meeting the first Pillar Man in a German base, and Joseph ends up defeating him due to outwitting him with his smarts, which also is really cool about him because he seemed not that smart, but surprises you with tactics that are unique and great for the situations he is put in. As this goes on, we see Caesar and Joseph train with these two guys and this woman who is crazy powerful so they can defeat Cars and the other two Pillar Men, which Joseph has beat and has to defeat these two guys in a matter of time or else he dies. Also, Cars would become immortal if they don't stop him in that time, so he didn't have a choice whether or not he would fire. So as the training goes on, the two Pillar Men show up at the last training session and end up killing one of the two guys that were training them. He also killed the other guy. I think it was a little bit after because I don't remember seeing him again. And then Joseph pulls out his Hamon and claps his cheeks. Hey, yo, pause! As he's walking back, we see the guy that he apparently killed on his back and then flirts with the girl and she flirts back. Knowing what he truly looks like since the mask is off, and as that's over, he peeks on his master, not knowing that it's actually his mom. As he's peeking, he notices Susie acting strange and tries to kill his master, but he intervenes and saves her as well. Susie. Finally, when that's over, Susie and Joseph make a promise to come back to her, and then leaves with his master. Oh, by the way, Caesar got flattened by a rock, ended up dying. But we move on to the gladiator fight with the man he had beef with. He defeats him, and I loved that fight. I thought it was unique and crazy good. Finally, Cars obtains the last stone needed for the mask and becomes immortal. Joseph then hops on a plane and sends Cars into lava, and Cars cuts off Joseph's arm. But Joseph didn't let that stop him because he made the volcanoes erupt and sent Cars flying in space. That's fucking crazy, honestly. That's a badass thing. Well, he somehow came back to the group just to find out that they were having a funeral for him. That's where part 2 ends and leaves a pretty good impact on you and leaves you wondering what's next. I feel that it's so different and that having Joseph as the main protagonist made part 2 so much better and more interesting to watch, even having Hamon in it, because particularly Hamon is not my favorite power ever, so that's why part 3 beats part 2. Like, we start off with seeing Joseph again, which is amazing, and we see that Jojo has a power called a stand, which Joseph and Abdul both have as well, and show him how to use it. And it's not an evil spirit, but it's a spirit of himself. Then we get back to Jotaro's mother being sick because Dio is back. You know, my boy Dio is always coming back, and I love it. And Dio is by far my favorite character in all of JoJo's, because literally he owns the entire series, because he literally is the root of all of it by creating stands and having his will go on throughout the show. But talking about Dio is for another video. If I kept talking about him, it would be another 20 minutes. I have to get. You guys know. Talk through the entire parts. We gotta move on. So they travel to Egypt to kill Dio and save his mother from a stand she has, because her fighting spirit is weak and can't control the stand. So she ends up getting sick. But as they go along their way, they encounter so many stand users, and as they got closer, the harder they got. So eventually they meet this gambler guy who was a stand user, and personally he is my favorite out of Dio's henchmen, because he relies on gambling to use his stand instead of stands attacking one another. Even though they have the guy with the video games, which was cool, it just didn't top the gambler guy. Polnareff, Abdul, and Iggy all encounter a stand user who can destroy anything it touches, and Abdul ends up saving Polnareff's life by shoving him. And with leaving us no time to grieve for him, they kill Iggy too, with Polnareff somehow living. And with the two of them dying, we finally get to see Dio and Polnareff completely eye to eye, and we see Dio stand for the first time. And man, it looks so badass. And somehow he hurts Polnareff, but lives because the others finally catch up to him. And we go outside where Dio uses his power again and completely destroys Kakyoin. And then we finally learn that what his power is, which is the ability to stop time for a certain amount of seconds. We then see Joseph die, and this is where I'm like, you're fucking joking, right? There ain't no way that he's actually dead. You just can't kill my favorite fucking Joestar in front of my eyes with my favorite fucking character. This ain't right. Just learn that he's actually dead, and they really did it. They really fucking did it. I can't believe this. Just because Dio goes, guys, this may be a terrible impression of Dio, but like, bear with me. Zawaldo! And before I can even grieve, Jojo and Dio walk up to each other and start going at it, with Dio stopping time again. But he flinches because he sees Jojo move while time is stopped, which we are like, what the fuck? And then time goes back to normal. Dio was completely crushed by his stand. Literally fucking gets slammed in the face, but vampire powers, OP, fucking regens because of that. But soon after he does it again and realizes it was just a toy. But quickly finds out he can move in his time, and that his ability is actually that he can stop time. But Dio still destroys him, no matter what. Dio's OP. And Jojo plays dead and soon gets back at Dio. But Dio comes out with a freaking roller and crushes him and starts counting to 11 and thought he can stop time forever. And Jojo tricks him and fucking wrecks his ass and finally kills him. But not only that, but Joseph is saved. I was like, thank God, bro. Praise the Lord, man. And the way they saved him is because they used Dio's blood. But first I thought he wouldn't be able to go to the sun because of his vampire powers, but he was fine. But then Dio shows up as him, and I'm like, fuck, bro. How the fuck is this man still alive? And Jojo was about to destroy him until Joseph was just kidding. I was like, thank God. And part 3 concludes, but overall the best in the anime so far out of all the parts because of the stand users, the characters, and overall the entire thing. But at the beginning with Iggy, I didn't really like him because he was kind of a bitch, no cap. He was really willing to let them all die. But after the Hawk fight, I love the character, and he redeemed himself so quick, and now I understand why people love him so much. But part 4 is definitely one of the more weaker parts, only because the first half of that was pretty mid and not all that interesting. Even though the stands were pretty cool, but that's really it. And the fact that Joseph made cheating on his wife with a 20-year-old MILF look cool. Nice! But besides that, it was okay. But the second half of that with Kira changed the entire part entirely. and it made it worth watching. Even though Dio was my favorite character, he isn't necessarily the best antagonist, because Kira's goal is just to live a normal life while killing young women, and that's all he wants. But is then not able to do. Well, on second thought, you probably should stop this, because I don't even know what this is. To Josuke and everyone, because as time goes on, they find out who Kira is and almost kills him the first time, but he switched identities to a guy that was boring and uninteresting and a wife that doesn't love him to a badass and making his wife wet type of guy. Like, his character was even better than before, and we just wanted more. And eventually the son of the man caught onto his act and gave Kira a new power to destroy certain things that were said or done and made him crazy overpowered. But the kid outwits him. Kira, since he could keep her starting time over and over again and try to change the outcome, which finally he did and got Josuke, which Josuke outsmarts Kira, and Kira ends up almost losing by Jojo.
Star Platinum, unleash the world! That's enough. Time in.
But takes a hostage, but as he goes to leave, he ends up getting his head crushed by an ambulance and gets sent to the endless void of torture because he looked back. And that's how part 4 ends. And personally, I thought it was great if the second half was just the only thing, but it isn't. So it was just good, you know. I say it was better than part 2. Part 5 is where it's at. This came close to being better than part 3 in my opinion. I absolutely love part 5 and everything from it. It just creates a whole new atmosphere, and the addition of gangs and them infiltrating the mafia, destroy it from the inside, change the way they do things and create a new era, which is just spectacular. Like, Giorno's character is amazing from start to finish, and the side characters are probably the best in the entire series. Yes, even part 3, because their character development throughout the entire part is fucking insane. Like, how can you make these characters so goddamn badass? Like, and just in that amount of episodes, that's fucking crazy. Anyways, part 5 kicks off with Giorno killing some gang member, and Bruno comes after Giorno, and Giorno ends up coming out on top and convincing Bruno to join him and defeating the leader of the mafia. That was a lot of fucking Giornos, I just said. And receives his first mission and to not let the lighter go out, but it does, and he ends up killing the stand with the son and receives the okay to join the mafia and kills the person who gave him the task. And throughout the rest of they are given the task by the boss to protect his daughter from the traitors and the mafia, and ends up completing it. And Bruno is going to give the boss his daughter, but before he can make it there, the boss steals her and attempts to kill her, and Bruno stops it from happening. But we learn that the boss power is to look into the future, which is OP as shit. Just want to point that out. But Giorno comes to Bruno's rescue and saves Bruno, but Giorno sees no blood coming out of him. We then see one split from the group, and they leave to destroy the boss, but are chased from top members of the mafia to go kill him, and they end up defeating all of them. And finally, it's revealed that the boss has a split personality, ends up killing Leone. And a little bit after that, Polnareff is confronted by Divallo, which is the boss, but ends up stabbing his stand and creates Requiem, which makes everyone change bodies. And since Divallo has 2 souls, is split into different people, and he obtains the arrow, but loses it quickly after because they switch it back into their body. And Giorno gets the arrow and stabs his stand with it and creates Golden Experience Requiem and gets OP as shit. He literally broke time and beat Divallo by sending him into a time space where he dies over and over again, and then we see that Bruno's soul had barely been able to stay in his body that was already dead, and ends up giving Giorno the last few words of encouragement and tells him to follow the path he desires and lead the mafia into a better way. With that, he becomes the leader of the mafia with Mista, Polnareff, and Trish. While Bruno Narancia died to Divallo in the previous fight. Oh, I almost forgot. So there's another arc that happened. It was a side quest, anything. It's happened before Giorno even joined the team or anything like that. But Bruno is assigned a mission to see what's up with daughter's boyfriend, because he thinks that the daughter's boyfriend killed her because she jumped off a building holding a stone that he said it was like, he has no idea why she would do it. She was not suicidal, but he thinks that the boyfriend threw her over. So they were like, nah, they were reluctant at first, but they eventually complied, saying, I'm not going to kill anyone. I'm not an assassination squad. We'll go see, check it out. And Mista encounters the girl's boyfriend, and he sees Bruno's face on the stone. He's like, what the fuck? Why is this Bruno's face on the stone? He quickly tells him, that's my stand. If that's your friend, I'm sorry, he's dead. And that's just how fate tolls. And Mista puts up a gun, not liking what he just said. But, you know, as Mista is, he's superstitious. As you know, he doesn't like the number 4. So he's like, he's not going to take any chances knowing that Bruno's in the building. So he ends up saving Bruno's life multiple times. And we go into the climax with Bruno about to fall off the apartments. And because the stone is trying to go kill him multiple times, that's why they need to save him. and the stone literally just about to crush him. Misa jumps off the building, takes the stone, and crushes it to change the fate to make sure Bruno does not die. And Misa lives because it was not his time, as the stone told him. And also a little bit of Fugo helped in there because he literally drove a car, saved Misa's life because of the radio was on, because it's, like I said, it's not his time to die. But as they're walking away to go tell the guy that the daughter actually killed herself because she was trying to save you, because you were supposed to have a terminal illness, but it changed fate that way you don't have it. And so as they're walking away, about to go do that, the stone changes into Bruno, Abacchio, and Narantia and showed their fate as actually they're going to die. And the boyfriend goes, well, they're going to have a difficult time ahead of them. And which they do. So let's get back to the conclusion of what I think about the ending of this. So that's where part 5 ends. Honestly, Golden Experience Requiem is definitely my second favorite stand because of its entrance and power. It literally came out crazy and with style. Like having the ability to revert everything back to normal or zero and basically overriding time and destroying time makes the stand by far so badass, and the stand's appearance is so fucking good. But with that, the anime comes to an end until part 6 comes out, which is going to be fire and open a whole new atmosphere for Jojo. And I also heard it's the best part out of all of them, so that just excites me even more. So if you enjoyed this video, hit that like button and make sure to subscribe for more of my thoughts on anime, on other animes, and how I feel each arc did overall. And to ensure you don't miss that, make sure to hit the bell button as well. In future, like part 8, let me know, and also let me know what your guys' favorite stand is, your favorite character, and other animes you guys want me to do in the future. And with that, this has been your boy, Captain Lokage, and stay watching anime.